Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will go through the 12th game of the FIDE World Chess Championship 2023 between Nepo and Liren. And in this game, we will analyze the crucial factors for which Nepo has lost the championship title. This was a very crucial game for both the players, and until this game, Nepo was leading by a full point. However, he could not maintain the lead due to some factors that I am going to share with you shortly. Okay, let's start the game. That is the game number 12, FIDE World Chess Championship 2023. Here it is. D4, Ding with white pieces plays the move D4, nothing new. And Nepo replied with knight F6. Knight F3 by Ding, and Nepo replied D5 with a symmetrical position, slap defense. Here, Ding goes with the cool system. Did not play the bishop f4, which is called London system that he played earlier in this tournament. The drawback behind this cool system is White's dark bishop is locked by his own e3 pawn. That is the problem. And in London system, the bishop is somehow managed to be outside the pawn chain. So this is the difference between London system and cold system. Maybe Ding chose this cold system because he is avoiding the forcing and long theoretical lines and bring Nepo out of his preparation. Maybe this is the main intention by Ding to play the cold system. Here, Nepo played c5, and this is quite understandable to play this move, as when your opponent play passively, you may act actively, and this move stands from this opening just like Queen's Gambit in reverse order. And after that, Ding played knight bd2, and this is a typical knight maneuver in cold system. This knight will transfer to f1 after castling and rook e1, of course, and pointed towards the g3 or e3 as per the demand of the position. You see, knight f1, knight g3, or maybe knight e3. This is the main motif behind this knight bd2 maneuver. And after that, Nepo played c into d4. He goes with the pawn exchange, which is quite sensible in nature. A side pawn is exchanged with a central pawn, good for black. Also, when your opponent plays passively, you should try to open up the center as much as possible. And here, Ding played e into d4. If he goes with knight into d4, this will give black advantage after e5, and this is not good for white. So, Ding played e into d4 in this position. And after that, Nepo played queen c7. This is a kind of modern theoretical queen maneuver, especially in exchange Caro-Kann defense. But in Caro-Kann, the d2 knight is not existed, and black plays queen c7 to stop the bishop f4. So queen c7 plays in Caro-Kann only to stop bishop f4. However, in this case, playing queen c7 is purely not understandable. I want to share about one important theory, typical theory about opening, that don't play flexible piece first. There are generally two flexible pieces at the board. One is queen and other is bishop, especially the bishop opposite to your castle side. That means the queen side bishop in most of the cases. So I mean to say that you should develop these two pieces, that is bishop and queen, after developing other minor pieces, unless or until there is no any strong reason not to follow this principle. So Nepo might play here knight c6, followed by bishop f5, bishop g4, or may after that e6 like that with sensible play. But he played queen c7, which is a modern approach, and after that Ding played c3. This is the continuation of so-called cold system. This is a cold pawn structure, just like reverse Queen's Gambit accepted. And after that, Nepo played bishop d7. Nepo played another flexible piece in so early phase of the game, without any strong reason, you see. Also, it breaks the opening principle, the principle of least active piece. And also, knight should come out before the bishop. That is a second principle that he broke. And he should play knight c6 instead in this position. Maybe he thought that after knight c6, white may pin the knight by bishop b5, but he has the move a6, and after bishop into c6 and b into c6, black is with the bishop pair in hand. He need not to even worry about his newly created isolated pawn in so early phase of the game. Also, this isolated pawn is well compensated by the pair of bishop Nepo had. So bishop d7 move is out of question completely. And up to this, Nepo has violated one important opening principle for 2 times, that is not to play the flexible piece in early phase of the game, because flexible piece should come last or at the demand of the position. So Nepo violated opening principle and played bishop d7, and in this position Ding played bishop d3. Knight e5 may also be played here, as black has allowed to play his knight move, that is knight c6. Ding's choice bishop d3 is also a logical move, develops the bishop towards b1 h7 diagonal, keeping an eye at a7 is also a reasonable move to consider. He goes with bishop d3, and here Nepo played knight c6, and he back to the logical play, developing the minor piece towards the center, and after that Ding played castle, completing an opening task. And here Nepo played bishop g4. He brings his bishop to the most active square and converts this opening similar to queen's gambit accepted in reverse order. But for achieve this, Nepo has to lose tempos. Here you may ask me a question: why black is not out of the game after losing tempos right in the opening, and that is also with black pieces? The answer will be due to the passive play from white's end. The opening Ding shows gives black to afford losing tempo. This is why chess master over the world says always play actively. But what to do? Here Nepo played bishop g4, and Ding played rook e1. Here e6 was played, and Ding played the typical knight move. This is a knight maneuver as per his opening Cole system, intending to play knight g3 and make it difficult to play bishop h5 after h3. So this is the intention behind knight f1, knight g3. And here bishop d6 was played, that this bishop comes to an active square, and even though black loses tempo in opening, you see his position is not out of the race. Also, losing tempo gives black an additional opportunity here, as he may play a long castling, because black has not castled yet by losing tempo. It's something like when you have lost something, you get something in return. And this is also become due to passive play from white's end. And here Ding played bishop g5. You see knight g3. If he played knight g3, then continue his opening system. However, black may play a strong sharp move, that is h5, and preparing long castling, which looks to be very dangerous choice for white. So Ding played sensibly, and a logical bishop g5 played by Ding, putting pressure on the f6 knight. So he chose bishop g5 instead of normal looking knight g3. So bishop g5 was played in this position, and short castle by Nepo. Nepo goes for a safe game, not showing any intention to play aggressive, as he is already 1 point ahead in this tournament. It is quite understandable, but this kind of safe attitude may sometimes ruin your positive psychology attitude. Think about Carlsen. He never compromises with position for going to dynamic play, whatever the position in the tournament he has. That is why he is ruling the world chess for a long time. I don't disrespect anybody by comparing with someone, because everyone has his own nature of thinking. I just want to tell you that Nepo should have played this game with more aggressively than he had played in the game. So in this position, after short castling, Ding played bishop in f6. He goes for imbalance the position by taking the knight for a bishop. Ding has to play for win here, as per demand of the tournament situation he has. His other option is bishop h4 to keep the balance, and after bishop h5 in this position, bishop g3. So he may neutralize the d6 bishop, which is a solid play. But he would receive only an equal position for doing this. So he goes for imbalance and creates chances for this tournament title. And he played bishop in f6. G into f6 is a forcing move, you see. And after that he played his plan knight g3, controlling the h5 square, so that after h3 black has to take the knight by bishop into f3. So in this position Nepo played f5. This is another interesting choice. There is another interesting choice, that is king h8. Idea of which is to play rook g8, creating pressure along the semi-open g5. But of course f5 is also a logical choice. It blocks the d3 bishop. He is ready to play bishop into knight f3 due to the pawn structure. You see all the black pieces, pawns in the center, in the white. So in this position, after f5, he played h3. You see, chess is a square game. Total 64 squares over the board. More squares you have means more control on the board. Here bishop g4 pin the knight, the f3 knight. It stops white's control over the squares in the king side, especially the h5, which was weaker after g into f5. You may say f5 is the entry point for white in the king side. And to achieve this, you must remove the g4 bishop from the board. Keeping this in mind, Ding played h3 move. It is quite logical choice. And after that, Nepo played bishop in f3. You see, bishop into g3 is not working due to the h into g4, f into g4, and f into g3, g into f3, queen into f3 is a better position for white due to the activity in the king side in spite of his poor pawn structure. So he played bishop in f3 and queen into f3 played by Ding, and here Nepo played knight e7, bringing the piece towards the king side, as it is doing nothing on c6. It is also a reasonable move by Nepo, as the knight will defend his king and also attacking white's queen by knight g6 and knight h4 afterwards. You see, if Nepo played king h8 instead of knight e7, then knight into f5 may be an opportunity for white to complicate the position, as after e into f5, queen into f5, creating pressure on h7. You see f6 looks forcing, and queen to d5 is a complete imbalance in this position that Nepo didn't like at all. Black's king position is not great, you see. It is quite unsafe in opposite color bishop, where attacker seems to be playing with an extra piece. So he avoided this variation and played very sensible move. It's a logical choice, knight e7. Knight h5 by Ding. Now the knight controls the weak squares in black's game, that is g7 and f6. Seems to be very dangerous piece for black, the knight h5. King h8 by Nepo. It prepares rook g8 also, trying to bring more pieces in the king side for launching attack, as well as defending his king. So in this position, Ding played g4. You say Ding has to play actively in this position, otherwise he will be nowhere. If he will do nothing, then it is very difficult for him to continue the game. So Ding reacted at the right time before it is too late. His intention is to open up the position and open up the bishop to create some active play and make some chances on the board. So after that, Nepo played rook g8. Activating the rook and also pinning the pawn is a meaningful move by Nepo. And here, king h1 by Ding, unpinning the pawn and preparing rook g1, followed by g into f5. Is also a good response by Ding at the moment. And here, knight g6 played by Nepo. Knight comes to the targeted square, that is h4, and provoking white to take the pawn g into f5. And in this position, Ding played bishop c2. It is a mistake by Ding, as he might try g into f5 instead. And after g into f5, and after knight h4, after g into f5, queen e3, e into f5, and black neutralizes white's activity in the king side by active play. So g into f5 is out of the question for Ding, and he played bishop c2. But he may play rook g1 instead, controlling the g file, after which knight h4, queen e2, f4, bishop c2 can be tried in this position. And the thing is, in this position he played bishop c2. After bishop c2, black played knight s4. Nepo immediately reacted to Ding's mistake by a solid knight move, attacking the queen and placing the knight to an outpost to monitor white's weaknesses and also defending the f5 pawn. And you see, this active knight is compensating the white's active knight on h5 very well. Furthermore, this knight on h4 cannot be attacked by any means. So good solid stuff from Nepo in this position. And after that, queen e3 played by Ding. Queen goes to a square in which it gets the maximum activity. And following the principle of most advanced square. Solid move by Ding, I must say. And in this position, Nepo played rook g6. And this rook lift is now covering up the weak h6 and f6 squares. Also preparing rook a g8. And this rook doubling on the open file is not a new thing in chess players. So it will be create mounting pressure along z file for white. Most importantly, after this move, black gets the license to play f7 pawn to f5 after f4 pawn push at some point of time. So rook this is a very, very sensible move in this position. And after that, Ding played rook g1. Ding also reacted positively to black's last rook maneuver and tried to consolidate the z file. And after that, Nepo played f4. You see, at first sight, this move looks very ugly, as it opens the b1 h7 light square diagonal for white's locked bishop and exposes the black rook lying in the diagonal. In addition to this, it also blocks his own bishop and queen battery along z2 b8 diagonal. But the only good thing is behind this move is it attacks the queen immediately, and black may follow up with f5 move. And after that, black may continue with f3, creating more space in white's camp, with an additional idea of playing knight g2, followed by queen e7, queen s4, paralyzing white's camp permanently. So this f4 move has some potential attacking prospects. Here in this position, white played queen d3. Perhaps this is the best move in this position. This move follows the principle of maximum activity. If he played queen e2, it allows black to play f3 with a tempo. So this move is ruled out from Ding's choices. So he go for queen d3, which is a very logical choice. And after that, Nepo played the queen e7. At the moment, this is the best move. You see, when you bring your queen into the attack, then attack becomes very dangerous as always. And the queen is now eyeing at z5 square or even to h4 square after the preparation. So this is a very good move. Queen joins the party. And after that, Ding played rook a1, activating the ideal rook into the game. Is a logical stuff, the principle of least active piece. Here, Nepo brings his queen to the most advanced square, creating pressure in white's game. Smart chess by Nepo. After the moves f4, queen e7, queen g5, things become tough for Ding now, as he suddenly feels short of any counterplay. So he goes for the most obvious move, that is c4. Try to do something in the queen side, as he has no any follow-up in the king side. It is like a desperate try, as he is in the must-win situation in the tournament. And after that, d into c4, Nepo happily accepted the move, as queen into c4 is simply made by knight f3, forking the rooks, and white has no compensation for the exchange. So, after d into c4, Ding played queen c3 and hoping for d5 at some point. Here, Nepo defends his extra pawn by playing b5, as material is one of the primary factors in chess. It is a solid play by Nepo. Here, Ding desperately tries to break in the queen side at any cost. This is the only way to play with for the momentum. Otherwise, he has no plan at all. And Nepo played b4. This is a slip in the position, and it is just like a positional mistake, you know. You see, when your opponent is searching for desperate counterplay in the queen side, and you have a good play available in the king side, You should not allow your opponent to achieve any kind of counterplay in the queen side. He should rather play the move a6 and solidify the pawn structure, making it harder for his opponent to break through in the queen side. I guess Nepo thought that Ding was not going to play queen into c4 as knight f3 is there. But don't forget, when a person is floating in the ocean, he will snatch anything he gets. So this is exactly what Ding did here. He played queen into c4. And this is the only move in the position for creating some kind of counterplay. By doing so, Ding allowed Nepo to play knight f3, of course. But he allowed Black Nepo to play knight f3 here. Nepo played rook a8. You see, after knight f3 will be answered by queen c6, attacking the rook on a8, bishop on d6, and knight on f3. And to allow to play queen c6 by Nepo in this position is quite not human in choice. So he played rook a8, which is quite natural looking move. However, Nepo allowed Ding to play queen c6 and would play knight into e1 in this position, which is the best move in the position. And after that, if queen into a8, then rook g8, then queen e4. You see, after knight into c3, c2, queen into c2, and queen h4. Very beautiful move. You see, queen d3 and f5. And all of a sudden, Black is now got a winning advantage. However, this variation is not so easy for human to calculate all the variation at once. So back to the game, where Nepo played natural rook g8, human being choice, which is quite understandable in this position. So back to the game, Nepo played rook a8, and in this position, Ding played queen c6, attacking the unguarded bishop on d6, intending to play queen b7 with a triple attack on a7, f7 pawn, and b4 as well. And here, Nepo made another mistake, and he played bishop b8. This is another mistake by playing the safe move bishop b8. Instead, he should play very gorgeous move, and that is knight f5. And this is called protected square tactics. The f5 square is well protected by the g4 pawn, but still the knight sits on f5. What a nice move. And you see, the knight is completely untouchable after g into f5 if played. Then queen into h5 is there, and after rook into g6, queen h6, king g1, h into g6, threatening g into f5, followed by checkmate. And if white tries to close up the file by f6, then f3 move is there. And this ends up all hopes for white instantly. So he made this nice knight maneuver, that is knight f5, and he played bishop b8. And in this position, Ding played queen b7, attacking the f7 and b4, 2-in-1 move. It looks sensible, but Ding missed a better move in this position, that is bishop into g6. This is a better move, because after you see h into g6, and there is a very beautiful move, that is d5. And if queen into d5, then queen into d5, e into d5, knight f6, the knight escape, rook d8, rook e2, and white has a winning advantage. And if e into d5 instead of queen to d5, then knight f6, knight f3, knight into g8, king into g8, and rook e8. You see, white has a winning advantage in this position. So bishop into g6 may be played instead of queen b7. It is a very good move, perhaps the best move in this position. Bishop into g6, also missed by Ding, and he played queen b7. And after that, Nepo played rook h6. You see, Nepo still had chance to play knight f5 in this position with the same intention of playing queen h4, and Black has the advantage. But he missed the opportunity again and played rook h6. So what to say? Rook h6 was played by Nepo, and Ding played bishop e4. Bishop comes up to the middle, from where it can go to the g2 square to protect his king. And now Nepo committed another mistake by playing rook f8 in this position. It's a passive move, you see. The better move is f3. Open up the bishop's diagonal, preparing knight g2 followed by queen h4, was good for black. You see, after queen into f7, in this position, knight g2, queen into f3, knight into e1, rook into e1, queen s4, things are still under control for black. So rook f8 was played by Nepo. It's a passive move. And here Ding played queen into b4, not delaying to grab the free pawn, and most importantly, his queen now attacks the recently played rook move on f8. So Nepo helped Ding to play queen into b4 actually, offering him a tempo. It is something like the bad time of Nepo has started after this. And here Nepo played another bad looking move to protect his rook. When pieces go backward, you see, then we feel that something is going wrong in this position. But if you believe me or not, queen d2 is the best move in this position as per engine. It means that when your position is worse, every move is become bad moves. That is the thing. So after queen d8, Ding played queen c3. And Ding played queen c3 is a sensible move, protecting the third rank and also preparing d5 move, say, as this knight on the h5 is suddenly back to the game. And in this position, Nepo played knight g6. Another piece comes back, but this time vacating the h4 square for his queen. Also preparing bishop e5 after d5. So not the worst move, knight g6. And here, Ding played very safe move. That is not the best move in this position, but it makes sense to defend the h3 square, so that his queen may continue the attack by leaving the h3 pawn. So bishop g2 is a kind of logical choice, safe move. And here Nepo is pressuring on f2 by playing queen s4 because he is short of any good plan here. And here Ding played rook e2, defends the f2 square, eliminating black's play. So in this position, you believe me or not, Nepo did a great blunder, and he played f5. This is the worst move of the game played by Nepo. Completely overlooked White's rook into e6 move, which Ding didn't miss. So he played rook into e6, played by Ding, and Nepo lost the game after rook into h5, the desperate try. But the game is already over after g into h5, queen into h5, and you see d5. And you see black has no any e6 pawn to play e5 now to defend his king. That is why f5 was a terrible blunder. And he played king g8 and d6. And in this position, Nepo resigned the game, as White will next play bishop d5. And you see rook on g1 is also become active, and black's king has no any shelter to hide. Black's king has no any shelter to hide. So Nepo resigned the game, avoiding any further harassment, for which Ding is eagerly waiting. So this is all about the 12th game of World Chess Championship 2023. Nepo has missed a couple of good chances that he could not capitalize, and gives Ding to back into the game from nowhere. Game analysis. And if you do so, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you may receive my videos and updates. Your support will be my reward for making this video, which was only for you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.